And I remember Kusai Hussein is having a book coming out. The title of it is going to be uh,
The growing controversy over the
Can You
mayor
Open My Eyes?
and new shockwaves in the Middle East after Gaza claims.
David, please mute yourself.
Anyway, Kusai, if any of you, don't know him, uh, about 2005, when he was 17 years old, he was living in Mosul in Iraq, and a car bomber set off the bomb and severely injured him and blinding him. And he has since had about 70 surgeries.
Wow.
And Doctors Without Borders was able to help him and help him get to the U.S. And around 2012, I think a local group, interfaith group that he was working with, posted a notice about him on the, I think it's called the Season for Caring uh, uh,
Remake the government.
thing that American Statesman, a newspaper here, and a number of CapMac members saw that what he had posted, that he was wanting to learn about Macintosh and iPhone, and so the CapMac got in touch with him and helped him get started there. And he finished high school, got a GED from Austin Community College, started his college education there, transferred to the University of Texas, got his bachelor's and master's, and he is now working on his PhD. But anyway, he's coming out with this memoir. It's not, I don't think it's ready for publication yet, but he does have a website called Kusai, Qusay, Hussein, Hussein.org, that has a lot of information about what he's gone through and what he's doing. So I'd just like to pass that along. I think not too many of our members are book authors, so I think that's kind of a big deal.
Hey, Jim, can you put his website in the chat, please?
I'll do that now. Glenn, do you have anything about what's going on in St. Louis while I'm doing this?
Nothing but the snow and sleet coming. No, not really. We're just glad to be here for your guest speaker. So thanks for having us this evening.
We probably do need to fill in a little bit until she gets here. I told her that we usually have announcements and should probably start about 7:15.
I would like to say one more thing about Kasai is that he now is a board member of Doctors Without Borders. And he's been going all around the country and, saying stuff about Doctors Against Borders and how he survived and stuff.
What country, Koki?
United States.
Okay.
But what country did it? Oh, he was in Lebanon at the time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a name on iPad Pro 11-inch.
Are we still going through the slides and all that?
I didn't really produce any slides or anything for tonight. I'm still getting the hang of being a president. Sorry about that.
That's okay, Jim. We all have to learn sometimes.
Jim, about 5 or 10 years, you'll have it down.
Oh, yeah.
At the rate I'm going, it might take that long. There were some security updates that came out yesterday, for Mac OS and iOS Watch and iPad. And I've installed them last night, and everything seems to be fine for what that's worth. Because I think they were primarily oriented towards security.
Jim, Tom here. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Edison's birthday. In fact, Judy and I just came from an Edison's birthday party.
Oh, very
Aw.
good.
I tend to overlook Mr. Edison in favor of Mr. Tesla.
Well, tomorrow is Charles Darwin's birthday, if you can get into that.
Mhm.
Where would we be without his tree?
And it's Abe Lincoln's birthday tomorrow, if we're gonna do birthdays.
Yeah, buy your mattresses.
I had a birthday on February the 5th.
Well, happy birthday, Koki. We'll wish you a belated happy birthday.
Thank you. And I turned 70.
Oh,
What
you're
did you
just a
turn
spring
it
chicken.
into?
I remember Bilbo Baggins saying that he was, what was it, 11T1 or something at his
Yep.
birthday party.
Yeah.
Grain of salt here.
That means he was 111 years old.
Yep.
Did our
Multiple
speaker just,
fireworks done at that party.
did our
Oh.
speaker just arrive?
See.
Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
Anybody know where I can get a 10-foot long lightning cable B?
Ooh.
10 feet,
Yep,
which they're gonna call 3 meters.
right.
I'm not seeing her in the participants.
I think OWC has them. I bought one or two.
I was in Best Buy today and they had a whole wall of all kinds of combinations of ends of cords. But all I bought was hot air, so.
Well, I think OWC would probably be a more reliable product and probably a better price.
Also, monoprice is pretty good usually.
Yeah, they've always been reliable too.
We've had good reluctance with monoprice electronics devices, yes. Like optical to analog and all that sort of thing. Switches.
I'm curious if all these new manufacturers that are coming out with all these cables and wall warts, they're all, ganging up on that, so, they can get their dollar out of it. But the Apple stuff still has that MFA or MFE setting on it, where it's made for iPod. And I'm wondering, how closely that's being managed by the manufacturers to really and truly help us with Apple products, even though we aren't paying the Apple price for it. And I better shut up. We got a visitor.
I've had good luck with a company called Paracable, PARACABLE.com.
Yeah.
They make some very good lightning cables. Let's see, I believe Allison is here now.
I believe she is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You certainly can.
It's a full house tonight. Where'd everybody come from?
Austin, Texas.
Whoa, how fun.
We got
Anthony Poet.
we also have visitors from the St. Louis, was it Gateway Apple Mac user group. Number of people from there who have joined us.
Wow, they didn't know how bad I am, huh? You tricked them into coming?
No, we got to stick together.
Yeah, we've been working together, so
Oh, that's really fun.
yeah.
So, do I introduce myself, or have you got a grand?
And why don't you go ahead and do the honors, Nathan?
Please welcome Allison Sheridan. She is the proprietor of podfeet.com. She does a podcast, NosillaCast, as well as Chit Chat Across the Pond, and sometimes a contributor to Screencasts Online. So please welcome Allison Sheridan.
Yay!
Well, since I talked to you last, I am now the NosillaCast is now the longest running Apple centric podcast.
All right.
The first person to do an Apple podcast was Adam Christensen, so he beat me getting started. He started 6 months to the day before me, but he retired his podcast when he joined the Mac Geek Gab, which has been a great addition for them. But that makes me the longest running Apple podcast. I'm kind of proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm actually a regular on Screencasts Online and on the Daily Tech News show as well.
And you're now also an honorary member of CapMac. You're on our mailing list.
Well, good. Can't get away from you all. That's fun. So what we're here to talk about today, just in case I forget, I'm going to try sharing my entire screen. Hopefully this will work.
Yes.
Before I forget, I like to show my website. I may remember at the end, but just in case I don't want to forget to plug my own show, all you need to know is podfeet.com, and you can get to all the shows that we talked about here. And everything that you see here is also, there's blog posts for everything. So if you'd like to read instead of listen, you can do that. If you go to the videos tab, this is where my husband Steve has been producing video interviews that we did from the CES show floor. There's going to be over 50 of them by the time we're done. But the audio for these is all in the podcast. And but again, if you'd like to read, you can read the transcript. So you can consume this content any way you like. All right. Enough of the plug. Hopefully they told you what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about, that's not supposed to be here. I'm here to talk about photos editing specifically on the Mac. I know there's a lot of people who use iPads. Not much of this is going to translate directly to the iPad. So this is a very Mac specific thing that we're going to be talking about. Hope that's okay, because that's a presentation you paid for. So one of the first things I wanted to show you was there's a little bit of editing you can do from the main menu here, from when you just look at a set of photos. If I actually, let me go down to this one. If I select a photo, I can rotate the photo directly from here. Oh, that's nice. That's not normal. It never does that. Okay, there, that shouldn't have taken so long. But if you want to rotate the other direction, if you hold down the Option key down, see how it changed to rotate clockwise? When I click that, it's going to go back the other way. That's one of the things you can do from here. If I hit the Enter key, it takes me directly into Photos editing. And I wanted to show you something that might end up confusing people. This is specifically a photo that was taken on a photo that is not an iPhone 16 or higher. And I chose this photo because what you're going to see across the top is Adjust, Filters, Crop, and Cleanup. I'm going to hit Enter again to get back out. Now if I open this photo that was taken with an iPhone 16 Pro, if I hit Enter, Now you see adjust styles, crop and cleanup. So instead of filters, you're going to see styles. And this is going to be a change. You'll see both of them in your library as you get newer phones. Like if you don't have an iPhone 16 yet, don't worry about this, but there will come a time when you have a 16 or a 17 or an 18, go back into this photo from the iPhone 15. And actually, that wasn't supposed to be like that. I didn't start this the way it's supposed to start. I wrecked all my fun here. So the 4 tabs, you can get to these by, if you like, I'm going to do keystrokes here too. If you do Command 1, you get to adjust. Command 2 gets to filters. Command 3 to crop. And Command 4 to clean up. Command 1 back to adjust. And one of the things I like to do a lot is I often want to go straight into crop. So if I'm going to hit done, if I just hit a C, whoops, Command C, sorry. No. Oh, interesting. I know what it is. If I'm in here, I get it. There you go. If you have it big like this and you just hit the letter C, it goes directly into crop. So crop is something I do virtually all the time. And we're going to get into how these different pieces work here later, but I just kind of wanted to show you that you can flip around and jump between these with keystrokes. Now, one of the main things that I think Apple did a really good job here is they made the interface extremely simple. We don't have to worry our pretty little heads about very much if we want to just start with some really, really simple adjustments. So I can go up here to the little magic wand, and if I click that, it's going to change the photo a little bit. Let me switch out and go back to a photo that it has a little more interesting stuff going on. We're going to go into this one. So let's go to adjust. So if I hit the magic wand, it's going to have a bigger effect on the photo. You can see that changed it quite a bit. If I click it again, it turns off. If I click it, it's back on. You can see it's yellow. I also have revert to original over here. So I can immediately go back to the absolute original. Every adjustment, everything that's been done to this photo gets removed when you hit revert to original. Let me click it again. And you see over here, there's a button it's a solid button with a hollow button. If you click it, it sort of blinks at you because you're supposed to click and hold. If you hold it, that's what it looks like without the adjustments. Now here it is with the adjustments. And again, if you like keystrokes, if you hold the letter M, you can see the adjustments. Sorry, my little keystroke thing is repeating, but I'm just simply holding down the letter M. But every time you hit it, you see it blink. So the letter M is another way to do that, just to see what you've done. So that's something that's going to be available to you in all of these different things we're going to look at. Okay, so right now I just hit the magic wand, and you can see there's a little blue checkbox next to light and color. And that means that this adjustment made changes to light and color. Let me undo that. And let's open up each one of these. By default, when you open up light, you're just going to have a little slider. And this, again, is where Apple makes it nice and simple. If you just want to change the light, you go, hey, that's too dark. I'm going to slide this slider and it's going to get brighter. I'm going to slide it that way and it's going to get darker. But things are changing differently depending on the color. Like if you look at the white clouds, they're not really changing that much. But the color in the yellow and in the green, the light is changing a fair amount, and not as much in the wood of the tree. And what you can see, if I leave this up a little ways, if I click on the options that are below light, there's a whole slew of sliders down here that you can separately adjust from that main slider. So we've got brilliance, exposure, highlights, shadows, brightness, contrast, and black point. And we can change any one of these. Like, let's say I like that the picture got a little bit brighter, but I want the tree branches to be darker. Well, let's mess around in shadows. Let's see if that one, we can bring that up. Let's see, bring it down, I mean. So you see how much darker those got, but the flower itself didn't get much darker because it's a very bright color. We can mess around with contrast, which does some of the same thing. It's a little bit different effect. And black point will bring up the darkest of the dark and bring it up and make that even darker. You can adjust any of these back to 0. Any slider I'm going to show you, if you double click on it, it goes back to 0. So I could double click any one of these and they're going back to 0. And the little checkbox tells you that it has been modified. So I can uncheck that and I could see what it looked like without that adjustment. If I had other adjustments made, say to color, black and white, if I had anything adjustments made there, then undoing this would only undo light. So it's not reversing all of it. It's just reversing what I've done in this one section under light. Does that make sense? Anybody lost yet? All right. I like to be interrupted and questions asked. So don't worry about interrupting me when I'm in the flow. That's not any problem at all. So let's, another thing we can do.
Hello, Allison.
Yes.
That was awfully quick going through the different things, but I wonder, what is the difference between brilliance and brightness? And, some of I see there's sliders, but it's sometimes subtle as to what changes. Maybe I just don't know what the terminology refers to.
Yeah, I looked up a lot of the terminology I did a full video of this for Screencast Online, and which will be coming out on the 14th. And I read every single detail of every single one, except I didn't look up brilliance and brightness. That's a real good question. I think brightness may be applied more to the entire image, whereas brilliance is to the stuff that's already pretty bright, pretty light colored. So you see how if I do brilliance, pretty much the flower is the main thing that's changing. But if I do brightness, I think it's affecting more of the entire photo.
That
right?
makes sense. Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's the way I interpret it. I mean, it'll eventually get it darker, but it's more affecting those higher highlights. But then again, you got the highlights too. So what's the difference between highlights and that? That one's not changing anything too much. So I'm not exactly sure. It does take some experimentation, but that's kind of the nice thing is you can not worry your pretty little head about it. Hit this back arrow to undo all of it, close this up, and lots of times, that looks pretty good. I got to admit, what I usually do is I go in and I look for one thing I'm trying to do. Like this is a little too bright. And so I might just go grab one of these and say, oh, the brilliance, let me bring that one down. And that kind of increased the saturation around the yellow flower. I do have a link I can give y'all that every one of these controls is described in detail by Apple in a section that you can step through, where it steps through light and then it steps through color and it steps through black and white. So if you remind me, I'll give you that link at the end. All right, let me undo that. So we're just working with one thing at a time. So just like light, color is just a simple slider. And all this is saturation. And the reason you can tell it's saturation is if I go all the way to the left, it's completely desaturated. No colors have anything in that axis. So there's completely desaturated. We've essentially made a black and white photo. I can go the other end and have it completely oversaturated. If you look at the options, you can see that there's actually three things happening here. Let me double click to put this back to the center. And I can specifically just take the saturation down or the vibrance down. And you see that's not desaturated as much as it's just muting all of the colors. Let me put that one all the way up to the other end. And then the cast is going to, what does that one do? Now I forget what that one does. Yeah, that's kind of made it a richer, got a little bit more amber tone to it and a little more blue to this side.
Could you just curves a little bit?
Sorry?
Curves.
Yeah, sort of. But don't forget, we do have curves down here too. So we'll take a look at what that.
That's what I'm looking at. That's what I was asking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, so when I get to the curves and levels part, I'm going to tell you that I find curves really difficult to work in, and I always work in levels, and you can do the same kinds of adjustments, but it's just graphically done differently. We can jump down there. What the heck?
Okay.
Since that's kind of on the same thing. Let me put that back to normal, and I'm going to open up curves and levels at the same time. And let me put this to RGB. So we've got a drop down here so RGB is the color red, green, and blue. On the curves graph, you take a point. As soon as I click, I'm going to see the same spectrum that I see down here, except it's just a taller axis. I can take this center part here And I'm affecting all three of those colors at the same time. And then I can add another dot down here, and I could start adjusting that separately. And you can see the graph under levels is actually changing. I'm affecting that. What I find difficult about this is it gets real easy to get real weird as you add points. Like, what is this even? I don't even know. What did I just do? I have no idea what happens when I get into this. So I don't end up using this one because it's fiddly. I have to do these minute little adjustments, and I don't find that an easy way for me to adjust the color. So if I, let me undo that one. Wait, undo. There we go. If I undo that, and in contrast, with RGB, what I can do is I can slide this center point, and I'm changing the way the light is affected by color. And if I can take this is the black point, and this is the white point. So this is going to be the darkest things, and I can bring this in, and you can see that the sliders are moving across the bottom. And I could keep adjusting these. And as I'm doing it, I'm looking at it, it's going, that's a really pretty, vibrant picture now. That's coming out to something that I might like. I might want to back that off a little bit. But you can see I'm making adjustments at the midtones and at the black and the white, or the black point and the white point. And it's having minor effects. It's not having that big screwy effect that I got when I made bigger changes up under curves. I have to be honest, this is my weakest understanding of the tool right here.
Thank you.
Did I help her muddy that up?
Well, it helped a little bit. It said that there is something there. I've just been terrified of even trying to.
Well, remember, you've always got this undo button right there.
Love it.
Or this revert to original button right there. You can get everything back to where it was. Now, the other thing you can do is you can work in one color at a time. So you can take just the green, and let's say I want to really crank that up. Now I've really made the green look odd, but I might want to back it off from the center there. Maybe I'm getting the color of the trees a little bit better. You know, you could do minor adjustments in there with one color. You can also do luminance, which is more about just the pure light. So I'm taking, the way I understand this is talking about the full dynamic range of the photo is from the far left to the far right. But we don't have any signal down here in the lowest level. So we can compress the dynamic range all into now all of the light that we have into that set of that spectrum. I'm not using the right terminology, so nobody knows what they're really talking about here. But now I can move around these other sliders within this range, and now I'm using all of the light that I had. Whereas if it's spread across here, I'm not able to do as much of the right kinds of adjustments. All right, I'm going to undo that and close those two up because they scare me. You can make black and white photos. Now, this is interesting. This is in color. The second I start to slide this, watch what happens. It instantly is grayscale. So I haven't done hardly any adjustment at all, but I have just barely moved that thing. If I double click it, I think it'll go back to 0. No, it won't. So if we go down into options, we can watch this one. As I'm moving this, nothing's changing down below, which is kind of interesting that it's not moving these. But down in intensity, we can change the, we can change the intensity of the effect. We can change the neutrals and the tone. This is not moving it very much, is it? This is odd. The green is to make it look more like a photo. And actually, I think I used a different picture. Which picture did I use? Let me do revert to original, and I'm going to go hit enter to go back up. Whoops. Back out. Which one did I use? Maybe I used, I'm trying to remember. One of these had a lot more effect when I messed around with the black and white. Yeah, so that one's having a much different effect on the look of it.
Yeah.
Increase the intensity. Yeah, so it depends on your photo how much it's going to be affected. There's not many neutral colors in there. And I can mess with the tone. And I'm going to zoom way up. And I can add green to this. You see how it looks grainy? And that's basically just to make it try to look more like old-fashioned film. To be honest, there's a lot better black and white third-party tools if you really get into doing black and white. But you can mess around and get this into maybe a more interesting effect. That's actually just ugly, what I just did there. The good news is we don't have to use the red eye brush anymore. You remember the old days when camera flashes would make you have red eyes. I did try to use this recently, and it didn't work particularly well, but maybe you'll get lucky. You can change the size of the little brush and brush across somebody's eye to try to fix red eye, but we don't have any of those photos for now. One of the, let me get back out, and did I have another photo? Oh, yeah, that's the photo I meant to be working on, was that one. Let me work in this one.
Pretty
Thank you.
gorgeous.
If we go down to white balance, actually, no. I want to. We're going to we're going to go look at the lion. Whoop. I took this photo. So let me go back into adjustments here. If we go to white balance, you can see that this picture, it's a cool picture, but everything's the same color, right? It's got this very amber cast to it. With white balance is a way of adjusting probably the best example where white balance helps you. Anybody been on an Alaskan cruise yet? Yeah. And you take all these great pictures. If you haven't been on one, you've seen somebody else's photos. All of the pictures are blue, right? All of the snow looks blue. That's because the white balance is off. The white balance, it should be white, but it's actually blue. So in this case, we've got a very, very brown background. So what I want to do is I want to define what should be kind of a neutral gray. And I'm going to go up to this little sliver up there of that tree, should be neutral gray. I'm going to try to take the eyedropper and get up into it. This is a tricky photo because it's just that one little spot. And when I click on it, that kind of doesn't look great because it looks really desaturated, but that's probably much closer to the actual color. Now, what I can do after the fact is that's a little cool. I can change the warmth of the photo and bring it up and bring a little bit more of that gold back. Now, let me hold the before and after picture. You see how silly that looks now and how much better that looks? Does that one make sense?
The green of the leaf in the trees.
So yes, I think what I heard you say is basically you're giving the photo the knowledge that it may have recorded it all a particular way, but actually that gray over there is really gray, and so you want everything to change. And the ice does look kind of blue in Alaska.
Oh, okay. Maybe some blue, but maybe not as blue as it comes out in the photos.
So basically,
right?
The camera isn't able to really differentiate what the actual color is. And so with your brain, you're going to find something that's more like what it really is and say, okay, use this. It's like if you're doing a green scale when you're in the background, when you're doing a Zoom video, you can choose what the background color is. And then it kind of, in other words, you train the image but it does look a lot better now after what you did, because the green in the branches, in the trees over there, and the bushes stand out
starting to come out. Yeah. I think you said it really, really well. The first thing you said is you're trying to teach it what it didn't capture. It didn't understand what gray was. And now you're telling it, this is what gray looks like. If you don't have gray, you can also do it with skin tone. And I'm not quite sure what temperature tint does, but you can do it with skin tone with somebody's face. Now, I'm real curious, whose skin tone? Is that somebody black? Is it somebody white? Is it somebody Asian? What color skin tone are they talking about?
Somebody sunburned.
There you go. Professional photographers or prosumers carry what's called a gray card. It's just a card that is considered gray, the very specific gray. And I've got one of them. And so you can take a picture with that gray card in the photo. Like, let's say I wouldn't have done it when I'm just about to take a picture of a lion, because that was kind of a surprise. But I could have held that gray card out when I took one photo, and then I take photos without it. And now I have a reference to say, this is what gray looks like. So I have a good gray to take it from. That's something people do. I do it sometimes when I'm taking photos at home. I know if I'm taking pictures of a product I want to put in a blog post or something, the room I take the pictures in has a very gold lighting and I know it's going to be wrong. So I put the gray card in the photo and then I can adjust it real easily. So that's what white balance
Do you
does.
put the gray card off in the corner? And since you said you crop all the time, once you do the adjustments, you can just crop the gray card out?
You can. What I do is I take one picture with the gray card, one without.
So it
And then
it remembers that you've trained it?
yeah. So this is going to be weird on this particular photo. Actually, let's keep this one and let's do this. So these two photos are virtually identical. There's a little bit of a change, but I'm going to go into edit here and let's change the white balance. I'm going to declare that this color is gray. Oh, shoot, it's too close to gray. I want it to look stupid. Okay, that looks ridiculous, right? But you see what I just did. I just taught it that purple was actually gray. What I can do here is I can say copy edits, and then I'm going to use the right. Oh, it's going to ask me, what do I want to copy? And in this case, I don't want to do anything with the style or adaptive. I just want the adjustment that I did. So it's going to take all of my adjustments. I'm going to say copy. And I'm going to use my right arrow and go to the second photo, and I can right click and I can say paste edits.
No way.
Yeah, way. So when you're going through all those photos from Alaska, for a given day, you can set the white balance and you can go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste.
Oh, that's great.
That one was worth the price of admission, huh?
Yeah.
Let me undo those.
It seemed like it was there sometime before. I remember being able to copy and paste adjustments.
Yeah. It's not obvious because I don't think it's in the, it's not in the menus. You have to do it from right click right on the thing. You have to go to copy edits there.
Photos from.
Do you have to have go ahead.
I said the photos from 20 years ago. It had something like that and I missed it.
Oh, so you're happy to find it again.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask if you're doing this, do you have to have the photo on the screen or can you apply it to the file?
Apply it to the file. You mean in the Finder or do you mean?
For example, you did a bunch of them one day of a certain area and some of it was snow and some of it was ice and there was a skier in it and stuff like that. And those photos are taken that day. Can you highlight all of them and apply that to the file?
I don't think so because you can only do it from within when the editing tools are showing and you can't see more than one. So like right now, if I, let's do that again. Let's go in and mess this up. Hit done. So I can't copy. Oh, I cannot copy edits. Sure, let's just hit all. Let's see if I can do 3 of them. Can I paste edits? It looks like you can. Look at me, learning something today.
But you're doing it in the photo that's on the screen. I was thinking about the file that's in the in Filer.
In the Finder?
Yeah.
No. So Photos does something interesting. It's creating a little sidecar. There, look, you can mess them all up.
Oh, yeah. Very Irish.
Yeah. So when you import a photo into the Apple Photos app, that photo is never modified. So all of these changes I'm making are in a little sidecar file that gets attached to the photo. And the thing about that is that means it's always reversible. So I'm playing with these photos and I don't care because I can always revert to original. And that's because it's just data that's been attached to the file. It says, okay, there's a part of the file that says, take the color and shift it into this, this frequency, move it over into the green from the red. And that's just a piece of data that goes with it. The fact that I cropped it to 4:6 when it was 5:7, that's another piece of data associated with it. None of that is happening to the actual file. So the file is unperturbed. The original photo is unperturbed. So that's why if you go, let me just do our same silly thing. We're going to do this again and I'll hit done. If I go to File Export, one of my options is Unmodified Originals. And the other one is just regular export. It looks like I got 3 of these. Let me do that again. So if I do File Export and I show unmodified original, that one file that I'm exporting, it would be pink, not green. Does that make sense? But if I do modified original, it's going to squash all that data together and make a file that you can see outside of photos that has all of those changes.
Well,
That's
what
what files. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
change the
Yeah.
file? What if you
Sorry?
change the file name for each separate image? Would that mess things up?
If you,
You change the file name like from 0 JPG to 4.jpg, and then another version of it you would name it 5.jpg. Would they all still be able to revert to the original photo that you were messing with?
so are you talking about inside Apple Photos still? We're not in the Finder. Or are you talking about in the Finder?
Well, maybe I'm not sure which I was talking about.
So once you export out to the Finder, it's just like any other file. It doesn't know anything about where it came from. It's not associated or attached in any way to Apple Photos. It's only while it's in Apple Photos that it has the knowledge of what you're doing to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Once it gets exported, that's just a flattened JPEG. It's just got all of the original data, the modification data is now squashed into that file, and you can't undo that in any way.
That's good to know. Thanks.
So this explains why sometimes I go to send a picture to somebody and I cropped it to make it smaller, but it seems like the original picture, they see the whole big picture instead of the cropped version. Now, and
Okay.
this has been a number of years, so they may have made changes, but
Yeah. Nowadays, yeah. Okay. So you're saying if you, for example, I'm going to hit C to go directly into crop, and if I cropped it in like this, you're saying, and then you exported the file, you're saying it would still be the big version. It wouldn't be zoomed in like that.
yeah, and I don't remember exactly the particulars, but it just seemed
Okay.
annoying.
Okay. Oh no. Undo.
I think what it's doing is when you're ready to send somebody a photo, you're asked whether or not you want to send small, medium, large, or original.
Yeah,
And-
that's over in Apple Mail you're talking about then.
Yeah, and that'll have to do with how many photos you can send at one time and all that. How important it is to have every piece of data and all.
Yeah.
Size of the file.
Right. That's more about the size of file, not cropping the file, but that is an important thing to know within Mail. I'd love to demonstrate what he's talking about, but I'm not going to show you my personal mail because I've fallen for that trick before.
Well, my experience, and I typically use Preview for this, was on an older Mac Pro. But once you have cropped it and adjusted colors and saved it, and you're basically saving it to the original file, then that's the picture you have to share.
So that's if you export it. Or you can share it from here once it gets shared out. So say using the share button, once you hit share or you said file export, once you've exported it, say export one photo, it's going to be exactly what you see here and can't be reverted back. Is that what you were saying, Tom?
Well, what I'm actually saying, I'm doing some Preview, and you don't really need to export it. You can save it as a JPEG, and there it is. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That once you've modified it and saved it, and then if you want to
Exported. Exported.
Export it from Photos. That's true, because they're not working with. What is the file type in Photos?
So it depends on how the photo was taken. For example, which one is it? This photo was taken, this is a raw photo taken from my big girl camera. Actually, no, it's actually from the iPhone. That's a raw photo. This one, I believe, is a live photo. So that's an HEIC photo. You can get a JPEG off the internet and drag it in here, and then it would be a JPEG. There's no standard file format inside Apple Photos.
When you export the HEIC, it's going to convert it to whatever you say, which basically you might, for sharing, you might want to use a JPEG.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. So right here, you can change the photo type from JPEG. You could retain the HEIC. So if you wanted to keep it as a live photo, you could do it as a TIFF, which is a little bit more uncompressed version, or a PNG, which is usually better for graphics. and you can change what size you want to export it, small, medium, large, like what we were talking about in mail. You could do it there too. And you can use the title. You've got a lot of different information you can apply to it here. And sometimes it might look like that. And you'll be going, wait a minute, where's all that stuff Allison showed me? I don't understand. It's because there's a little hidden thing there where you can change the quality and size.
Goodness.
Yeah, with the JPEG, you've got various types of encoding, and you can use better or worse. And the copy is going to be a little bit bigger if
Right.
you encode it best, but it's going to look just like your HEIC if you use the best quality.
Right, right. All right, let's go back in. We have a few more fun things to talk about here. So we're going to go past those scary curves and levels. I'm going to cheat and look at my notes. So definition and sharpening. This one I wish you'd asked about because I looked this one up. So definition and sharpening are two very different things. I'm going to zoom in on the lion's head here. And definition just has a single slider. And that's going to increase the contrast in the mid-tone areas without focusing on the specific edges. And I'm going to do this, and it's going to give the image a little more punch. And come on, there you can do it. A little more punch and depth, and it's bringing the subtler details out. All right. And the face is getting a lot more of increase in the in contrast, but the back, if you look at his back around here, as I drag that up and down, that's not changing nearly as much as the face because the midtones are more in the face. That's why that one's changing it. Now you can overdo that, and it starts to look really harsh. You can also work with sharpen, and sharpen has 3 sliders. And these control and enhance the contrast between edges in an image to make the details look crisper. So if we look at the grasses in the back, while I increase the intensity of sharpening, you see those grass blades are really getting to be crisper looking. And we can, if I slide up the edges, you're gonna see that effect even more. Do you see a difference in what that does versus definition? If I uncheck and recheck that, you can see how much more the edges are being affected. So the edge of the lion around here, it's still having an effect in this part of the lion, but it's really, really going crazy on the grasses. Now the fall off slider, that makes the sharpening effect more or less prominent. If I dial it back towards 0, you can see the sharpening becomes more muted. And when I dial it up, it's becoming more and more intense. To overuse the word intensity, but that's changing. That's the fall off. So I think sharpen is where I tend to do more of this kind of work more than definition.
Is there any magic button where you can actually get the focus right when you didn't take the picture right to begin with?
No. Hey, there's AI probably going to be doing that for us in about a minute if it doesn't already, but not in here. You can help a little bit with sharpen. But with these effects, I highly recommend really zooming up and seeing what you've done. Like if I do this way back here and I turn that sharpening on, I'm going to think, wow, that looks awesome. Look how crisp that is when it was kind of fuzzy. And then I zoom in on it and I go, whoa, that looks nuts. That isn't really good at all. So zoom in and out when you're taking a look at it. When you're playing with those effects, I should say. All right, let me undo the sharpening there. The last one in here is vignette, and this is an interesting effect. If I drag the vignette slider to the right, I'm going to get darkening of the edges. You see at the corners, the 4 corners? And if I increase the radius, I can actually make it look like I'm looking through a monocle. Maybe not quite the effect we wanted, but let me leave that all the way up, and I want to show you what happens. If you go to the left, it gives you a white vignette. And obviously that looks really stupid the way I've got the radius way up, but I've used the white vignette to make some interesting effects to kind of draw the eye in certain lighting conditions. That works. But sometimes just a little bit of a vignette can kind of draw your eye in more to the center of the subject. You can also, let's put this one way up and let me move the softness slider so you can see that it softens the effect of that.
So what happens if you crop the picture afterwards? Does the vignette get all cut off, or does it kind of go in?
Great question. Let's find out. I would guess it would go with us. No, it doesn't. Oh, that's really interesting.
So you have to do the
Oh no,
cropping.
I flipped back to adjust and it came back,
Huh.
even though I'm still cropped in.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess just temporarily during the cropping, it doesn't show it to you. That's what it's doing. Wants you to be able to see the edges.
Hmm.
All right, let's undo that. And let's go back to crop. And by the way, I'm just pinching in to get it back and undo that crop. That's how I'm doing that. While we're here, I have another photo for crop I want to show you. So I purposely took a picture of a piece of paper on my desk at a bad angle that I want it to look like a rectangle. If I go into crop, the first thing I want to do is I want to, I want to rotate the image so at least it's horizontal. And then I can use the first slider to kind of straighten it up. And by the way, you see how I went the wrong way the first time? 100% of the time I go the wrong way. I have never gone the right way the first time. So I can get it like that, but man, it still looks pretty bad. They've added a vertical and a horizontal slider, which helps fix this keystoning effect. So if I start going this way, notice I went the wrong way again. I start going that way, I can get that to be a lot more rectangular. Now, in this case, it's so distorted that I can't really get this edge correctly done. But I could also, if it was a problem in that direction, let's see if I can go that way. Yeah, I can make it at least a little more symmetrical. What's wrong with it? This can be useful if you've got a picture that's got, say, some towers from a building that are looking like they're kind of bent in. You can straighten things up a little bit is one of the places I like to use that. Any questions on that one?
I find that very useful if you're trying to take a picture of your TV screen
Yeah.
directly on, and this is a good way to adjust that to make it look better.
Very good. Yeah. That's a perfect example. I'll give you another cool tip on taking a picture of your TV. I don't have a picture of a TV, but we're gonna play with this photo in live. And one of the things that you can do with one of my favorite things about live is taking pictures of waterfalls. Okay, you can see we got a good waterfall there. Down here in the bottom right, I can change live to long exposure. And now I get that cool, creamy effect that the professional photographers take. So I think that's really cool. But there's another time you can use long exposure, and that's when you take a picture of your TV. You notice how you get those like funny lines? It's called the Lissajous pattern, but when you get those funny colored lines when you take a picture of a TV, take it in live and try to hold it super still when you take the picture and put it in long exposure, and those lines will disappear. I think it's cool.
So you have to take it in long exposure, or you can actually adjust it once the picture's taken.
Afterwards, just like I just did. You just change it from live to long exposure down here in the bottom right.
You can fix it in post.
Yeah, you can fix it in post. Now, long exposure, actually, if you're moving, it'll crop it in a lot. So you have to maybe back up a little bit on the photo before you take it. And then it's a little more forgiving. I do this. I have a Tesla, and I'm always taking pictures of the screen to show people something that I learned about full self-driving or something. And when I take the pictures, I have to be backed up a little ways, and then I can go into long exposure, get rid of that Lissajous pattern, then I can crop it and use the keystoning horizontal and vertical that I think it was Glenn was mentioning. That's how he uses it. All right. Another thing you can do, this is an example where it's not going to change very much, but down across the bottom with a live photo, you've got a little slider here, and the white dot is the key photo. So this is the photo you see when you just bring it up in photos, but you can move this to a different spot and change it and say make key photo. And in this particular photo, that doesn't matter very much. But if you've got a photo where somebody blinked as you took a photo of the kid, stuck his tongue out at you, maybe that's what you wanted in the photo, you can actually move that little slider. Let's do it. One of the ones I like to do it with is my little lion friends. Let's go into edit. And if you watch in live, watch what happens with the other lion. He comes out. So we can take this and we can slide it, and I can get this photo right as the other lion is leaping out. And then I could say make key photo, and I've got a completely different type of photo than what I had before. And again, if you want to get rid of that, you can slide it right back to where the dot was or revert to original if that's what you wanted. I kind of like him with his tongue out too.
So can you save the different ones, or do you just have to pick one?
You'd have to duplicate the photo to do that, but you can certainly do that.
Oh, duplicate it and then make a different key photo.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it would duplicate it as an HEI or as the live photo. Let's see. If I duplicate that, duplicate live photo or duplicate still. So you can choose to duplicate the live photo and you could do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So live is something that just always seemed annoying to me because it takes up more room on your computer because it's a bigger file, and I don't generally mean for it to go live. I think when you just push the button longer or on your phone, it'll automatically do live.
Actually, there's a button in the upper left that controls inside the Apple photo or inside the camera app that controls whether it's live or not. Maybe it's the upper right.
You can turn it off, but I think it overrides. It seems to me if you push hard on the button or a long time, it seems like it goes live even though you've turned it off.
Really?
I could be making that up.
No, if you hold it goes into video.
Well, that's kind of live.
If you want to round up. I do want to spend a little bit of time. If you've got, actually, let me do one more thing first. This is a video of my new puppy, and you're gonna indulge me and watch my adorable little puppy getting dragged around by my grandson. This is the craziest thing. All of these controls are available in video. So I can go into white balance and I could say, that's the color I want that. And you can see the color changed, or let's grab the blue of his pants just so it looks ridiculous. That's going to make it look real green. And now in this video, actually I could have, I do have a play button down here. You can see I've changed the color balance of a video.
Can you also do the skin tone on his foot so we can see what that does?
Sure. Let's see. Yeah, that made it a little bit warmer. Yeah. But all of these kinds of adjustments, you could make it, we could make it black and white. I could just start adjusting that. Now I've got a black and white video. You can change the curves, levels, everything you want, everything you ever wanted to do, you can do to video too. Isn't that crazy? Thought that was fun. I wanted to show you one of the Apple Intelligence features is cleanup. So if you've taken a photo with an iPhone 16 or higher, you see the way these people are kind of glowing. For some reason, it's decided these 4 people should not be on the beach. But this guy on his cell phone, he should clearly still be there. So this is with iOS 18. I'm sorry. Yes, iOS 18 and an iPhone 15 Pro or higher if you've taken the photo with it, and you're on macOS Sonoma on an Apple Silicon Mac, then you have this capability to adjust these photos. So if I just click on her, she's going to disappear. You notice the little boy behind her disappeared. I can disappear this guy too, but luckily it decided that the dog should stay, so I thought that was good. It created a little artifact here, and I can just circle around that, and that'll disappear. Well, it's not really very good, to be honest. This was the best photo I could find for it to do a good job, and I don't think it did a great job. As you can see, it got him, but it leaves that big black thing. That maybe you wouldn't notice because it's on the beach. Let's go see what happens to these people. But I don't find this tool to be the best tool for doing this. I find that there's a lot better third-party tools for removing people and icky objects from photos. So it'll get there. It's not as good as it could be, in my opinion. Are there any questions on that? Nope, we're good.
You don't get to choose which people you want to disappear?
Yeah, I clicked on them.
No, but the guy on the cell phone, why did it decide he's okay? Good
Well,
advertising for cell phones?
So that was with a single click. I could go in here and I can color this guy away. but it takes a little longer. And you see how he's got a shadow? It's not going to get rid of that, or a reflection, I mean. It's not going to get rid of that reflection. It got rid of that part. That did okay. But this is a very forgiving background, right? You're not noticing that this thing wasn't there before and probably doesn't need to be there. Like I said, I use a tool called Touch Retouch that works on your photos library, and it's really good at getting rid of objects you don't want. It's a lot better than Apple Photos is right now. It'll get there.
This is going to be so dangerous in courtrooms and things where people.
Oh, it already is, though. That ship has sailed a long time ago, I'm afraid.
They actually weren't there and they actually saw something, but you look at the picture and the event's happening and you're not there. I mean,
yeah, you know, we've got that happening in video and audio now, so we're well down that path of dangerous things. So is there anything in here that I didn't show you that you always had a question about, or something I didn't explain, something else you wanted to know? It was perfect. I explained everything.
Outside there that was in the beach, the last picture.
Say again?
Can you bring that sky back at all?
Yeah, I would go into adjust, and I would probably mess around with the light and maybe some of the exposure, bring that down a little bit. Let's see, where would I start? Maybe I'd go into color. Oh, we skipped over color. So we could bring up the saturation a little bit. Let's see if that's that's kind of messing with the, let's see, what would I do that with? Actually, yeah, probably go into levels. And then I would probably go into blue. And I think I would do, ooh, not that. For the love of Pete, that was terrible. Hang on, let me bring these two in, like I said, so we have the full dynamic range to work with. And I know I'm messing a lot of that up, and we don't want to do that. Yeah, that's getting pretty weird looking, isn't it? So there's selective color. And in theory, didn't show this because it didn't seem real predictable to me, is I should be able to select a color, and now I should be able to bring up the saturation on that color.
Members, gang members, none of that matters. Known terrorists in our country, and maybe
somebody's playing the news.
Spending.
Yeah.
I was noticing that when the waves were retreating and soaking into the sand, that which was furthest in and last to go back out had a nice blue sheen to it. Could you have grabbed that and put it in the sky?
No, this isn't that kind of a tool. There's not a way to say, take a color from here and put it up into here.
Okay.
I can just saturate that color. So the problem is that it's kind of a smoggy day. This was during the fires. So you can see shortly after the fire. So if I grab any of the sky up here, that's grabbing kind of a brown color. And now it's messing everything up because the sand is about the same color.
Okay, so you didn't actually get any color in the sky, I think is the issue to bring
it's
back.
Way up here, but yeah, it's not really, wasn't that pretty of a day. There are tools that could probably do that. I don't know, maybe curves can do it. We could mess around in there if you want. What would that do? Oh, that's perfect. See what I mean with curves? What was that?
That's more pleasant.
No, that's good.
You like that? Let's see if we went to blue. The problem is there just isn't that much blue. Yeah, it's just really not blue up there. So I don't have any blue to work with. You'd have to, I don't know, maybe make it a grayscale picture and people would think it was blue. All right, let me revert that one back to original. Well, I think I am just about out of gas here, unless anybody has anything else they wanted me to demonstrate within Apple Photos.
No.
It's all perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give a final plug for podfeed.com. And I want to tell you about a couple of different episodes that just came out 2 episodes ago of Chit Chat Across the Pond. And why does this keep moving? I one of my windows keeps moving into the screen. In Chit Chat Across the Pond, if you're familiar with Jason Snell and his famous 6 colors charts, I had him on the show to explain how he makes them. So it's not about the earnings calls from Apple. It's about how Jason Snell makes the graphs in Apple numbers and how he automates it. It's really a fun episode. So that Chit Chat Across the Pond is you can subscribe to this in your podcatcher of choice. This audio is also always in the NosillaCast as well. So NosillaCast includes Chit Chat Across the Pond as part of it. So you get both 2 for the price of 1, and they're all free.
Could I get you to talk about categorizing photos and putting them in albums and stuff so they show up so you can actually find a photo again?
You can if you pay me to come back another day. That's a whole nother, hour conversation about how to best do that.
And it would be valuable because I really like you walking through the examples, and I could watch you every day.
Oh, thank you, Ginger. Aren't you the sweetest?
It would be.
I got to be honest. I use search now more than almost anything because it knows who my pets are. It knows who my people are. It finds them. I can type in pink flower and it would find these photos. I can type in birds of paradise. It'll find them. But I kind of use a mismatch of folders and albums, and I name a lot of my files, and I use some keywords here and there. I don't even know whether I'm the best person to talk about, but like I said, that's a different topic for a different day. Sorry, Tom.
Where was the lion taken?
In let's see, where was this one? Let's find out. It's in Africa. It was in
Joby, Okavango.
No, I didn't. It could be Okavango. I was there. We went to Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Zambia. Oh, it looks like it might have been in Kruger.
Yeah.
Kruger National Park.
Thank you.
Yeah, go to Africa. It's the coolest thing ever. All right, I'm going to stop sharing, and just remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com.
Thank you so much for talking with us. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Jim. And I love email and questions. So if I didn't cover something or I did cover something, like, Allison, how do you do that again? Just send me an email, allison@podfeet.com. That's the best thing you can do. And I promise you one thing. I'll send it to Nathan. Like I said, there's a link you can start with in Apple's support documentation that walks you through every one of these sections, just like what I was giving you today. That was the resource I used to learn how to do everything I did. Sound good?
That's great. Thank you so much, and you're welcome back anytime.
All right, thanks. And thanks to Texas and St. Louis and everybody there. Always nice to talk to y'all.
Thanks for dropping by.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
Yeah, I just noticed somehow when I turned my camera on, that little thing that Ann was talking about, the reactions came up, and I couldn't tell it to go away. And I don't know if it was, I think it was just alerting me that I can go into video and I can turn reactions on, that it was turned off or something. It seemed similar to what Ann's question was. And I don't know if it has to do.
That's it. Yes.
I don't know if it has to do with whoever started the meeting. Do they turn it off or on? I don't know, but
I click on the green one. I click on that.
Yeah, the little green camera icon in the menu bar. If you pull that down, you have a control for reactions.
It doesn't stop it from coming on every time you turn the camera on.
It's arbitrary.
It's just a message that's telling you to turn on reactions. It says Zoom US has turned off reaction effects. Click the camera and select reactions to add more impact to your gestures.
I have it
trying to be
also.
helpful then.
And I think if it just waits for a while, if I click the little X, it doesn't seem to go away. I think it's just alerting me to go do something if I feel like it, which I don't. And I think Anne doesn't like that little nudge.
Is this just happening in
Trying to be
Zoom?
helpful.
Pardon?
Is this when you're turning the camera on in Zoom?
Yeah.
Yes. Or any other application that uses the camera.
So just using the camera itself to take a selfie, for example, it might pop up.
I think so.
Hey, Ginger, turn off your video and see what happens.
Well, it went away. But if I turn the video back on, I get the same message.
Yeah, I get it all. I get it also.
I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but I guess if you don't know what it's doing or how to make it go away, it could get bothersome.
Check under notifications for that for the camera app and see if there's something that's set up to go off periodically in there to remind you.
Well, it says that Zoom US has turned off reaction effects.
No, I mean for just the camera itself as an app, standalone.
I think it's something Facebook does.
Huh. I'm not sure where I would do that. It's a Logitech camera.
Well, it's a plug-in camera.
Yeah.
You still can choose it, so it would be listed under, it still has to have an app to make it work. So it would probably be under I've got 3 different Logitech files that deal with my Logitech camera that I clip onto my computer to show people who are sitting at a table for a meeting to those who are out in the netherworld, okay? And it's not doing anything to bother me. Usually what I have is a problem with sound, but I've never seen it pop up, but it's using the third party, if you want to call it that, camera. And once I got it set with the appropriate Logitech files, which you found in Launchpad, it should never do that again.
Well, it's something we can report on next month if we figure it out. And I'm sure is going to be asking everyone.
Ginger, go to the bar up above all the pictures and you get the green camera. Click on that.
That's where it drops down from the menu bar at the top of the window. And it just sits there. And then it'll go away for some reason. And I'm clicking on it, nothing seems to make it go away. But then all of a sudden it will go away. So maybe it just it wants me to, maybe it thinks I'm a slow reader.
And you're looking at the green rectangle with the white camera in it, right?
Yeah, on the top of the menu bar. I mean, yeah, for at the top of the whole screen. The menu bar on the top of the screen. It's not in the Zoom window.
When I do that, I get mic mode and standard gives me standard or voice isolation. So I don't even know.
Wait, a different camera, I guess. But
this is the built-in camera for a MacBook Pro.
Huh. Well, that is a different camera. I'm using a Logitech plug-in camera.
Yeah, I get what you get, Don, on my iMac.
Yeah, iMac, I went away.
But I mean, I also have a free Zoom app, so Zoom may not have turned on all the features if you're not paying. I don't know.
I've got the free Zoom app also.
About the only thing you can't do with the free version of the Zoom client is go beyond 40 minutes, and you can't. Oh gosh, what was it? There was something else you couldn't do because that would mean that you're borderline things that you have to pay for. And since I pay for it, I don't notice it being bad.
You can only have so many people on the free Zoom.
40, right?
No, I think the free one is less than that.
Ginger?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Hey, you know what, Anna? I just clicked on the little green camera instead of trying to click on the dialogue window, and the dialogue went away.
Okay, and I just found something else. I'm in Zoom settings under General, and there's a little box to check to say display your reactions above toolbar.
In Zoom settings.
Yes, and then there's General.
Mm-hmm.
And go down under skin tone.
So almost at the bottom of the scroll.
Correct.
Navigation and then reactions.
I haven't gone back and played with turning the camera off and on. So I don't know that this is it, but it's about reactions.
And you know what it means is if you happen to do thumbs up, you get a sort of bouncing thumbs up, and you know it animates things, so it can be annoying. I've watched people try to give presentations, and it just sort of you know, if you do like jazz hands or something, I mean they're
Yeah.
I haven't played with reactions, but I've seen people try to give a presentation, and every time they just move their hand like that, they got all these thumbs up all over the screen, and they didn't really mean to do that.
They didn't practice before the meeting. Judy wants attention.
Yeah, I've been playing with raising my hand and
The hand you have to put down when you're
yeah,
done. Which,
there's one.
I think it's got a 30-second timeout on it.
Did it?
I think so, yeah.
Well,
I don't think so.
I did that. Okay. As soon as I did something else, it went down. But for there's an option to lower your hand,
Yeah.
but unless you do something to it. What I'm saying is I raised my hand quite a while ago, and then I went and started browsing around on something else. And then y'all mentioned that, and I looked back and the hand was still up. So it was more than 30 seconds up.
Well, there's actually two cameras. Down at the bottom, you have the video, and on the top, you have that green with the camera.
Yeah.
Mine is off now, but if I go to the bottom and click off my video at the bottom and then click it back on, that reaction up top comes on again.
I didn't know there were two cameras.
Well, I don't know if there's two cameras, there's two places.
Yeah, there's a camera icon in the lower left-hand corner, and then there's a green camera icon at the top of the menu bar.
Right, Jim. And if you click the top camera, it takes that reaction thing away. If you go down to the one on the lower bottom and click on it, it comes back on when you turn your video back on.
Let me add something. I think it makes a difference whether you're using like an M1 or newer Mac versus an old Intel Mac. I believe some of the controls differ.
I'm Intel.
That could be true.
Oh, well.
well, it's kind of fun. It's one of those things where you go, wait a minute, I didn't want that to happen, and how do I make it not happen? And it's just one of those things that keeps your brain working, Ann.
Yeah.
And the settings thing that I clicked didn't work. So it still comes on when I turn on the camera. So yeah, you just click that green thing at the top, I guess, for now. I do have this is a MacBook Air this year, brand new. And my other machine was about 7 years old, and I never.
Judy's got reactions going.
Oh,
Do
dear.
that again, Judy.
I'm playing.
Anybody else use closed captions?
Nope.
Bill O'Barr uses closed captions, I believe.
Yeah.
I've looked at them on occasion.
It helps every once in a while because you can't scroll back and forth to find out what you missed. But if you catch it at the time they're saying it, you'll find out that they said Niagara instead of nausea.
It might be helpful when we have our joint meetings with the London group.
Yeah.
Always turn closed captions on the TV on when watching a British show.
Yeah, that helps a lot. If only they could speak English.
Nancy may have trouble in Glasgow.
Mm. By the way, Judy Morris, you
Yeah.
were interested in people trying to get along with that using the Microsoft stuff, which I think is going to be even more important because Microsoft kind of pushes you into Copilot if you're on one of those 360 365 subscription plans.
Yes.
I've gotten quite a few things where people send me an Excel spreadsheet. I can open it in numbers. I can do what I need to do, and I can export it in Excel to send it back to them.
Well, I've been doing a really important data spread for myself here in numbers for the last several days, and I'm having trouble finding some of the things like sorting, how to sort by
Yeah, the functionality is a little different.
weird. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet. It's not as yeah.
Not that Excel was intuitive, but once you've used it, you kind of know it, and yeah, it can be annoying.
Yeah,
I use it
unfortunately,
in
there's
numbers, and so I use it all the time now.
Well, and it's free, comes with the Mac.
Yeah.
I got real tired of dealing with Microsoft.
Oh, yes.
Unfortunately, there's some features in Excel that just aren't in numbers.
Such as
macros,
table lookups, and you get multiple layers, and then you go within a table that you built into one of the layers and pick something out from there based on something else, whatever's in the cell. Unfortunately, numbers can't handle that. But
But I can't handle it either, so that's good.
Well, I've never needed to use that.
Well, I've got a calendar program that prints out a calendar, one page for each month, and it keeps track of birthdays, when bills are due, and all sorts of other stuff in there. And to calculate when Easter is in a particular year, you got to use a table because you can't figure it out on your own. It's not something that you can calculate.
Isn't there a calendar that you can just subscribe to that's US holidays?
Yes, but it wouldn't have everybody's birthday, anniversary, when I have to pay this bill, when I have to pay that bill, when a tax form has to be in,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. You have to enter that again every year.
Well, I have a couple of different calendars. I have birthday calendar for people that I have the birthdays in my address book, and then I've got the just the subscribe to the national holiday calendar. I don't know where I got it, but they all print in my calendar.
Yeah, it's all listed under calendars once you open the app.
And you just select all the calendars you want open, and when you go to print, they all end up printing. I can't.
Who was
You
it
got
that wanted
reminders, and you got if you put birthdays into your contacts, they come up too. You can have it all come up on the calendar.
Who was it that wanted to do sorting in numbers?
Me. Judy.
I'll show you how quick and easy I do it. Numbers. If you come up here to get this little thing out of the way, organize.
Yeah.
Click on that, sort. Okay. And you can sort the entire table, and then you start with what you want. So we'll start with bill name, and it'll put it here for you. And I'm going to do it as a descending. So we'll start with Z and go back to A. And the very act of me clicking that, it did it. So here's the U's at the top, T, N, M, F, C, and all on down. Or you can, go back where you want and do it as ascending. The instant you click on it, you're sorted.
And everything that was with that.
And now, if I click on date paid, Come here, right there.
You can add a column and have a secondary sort.
Yeah, but you come over here to date paid, and it'll sort that for you if there's something in it. Right now, I'm still in the process of building this thing.
Right.
It's quick and easy to get to.
Well, that gives me some hope. Yeah, that's good. I hadn't noticed that little thing. I was going up into the.
There are so many little things that'll drive you nuts if you try just to find them.
Yeah, right.
I just go to help. Numbers help.
Well, I did that, and it didn't make sense. So.
Okay.
Oh, one more quick thing. You know the little application, Cool Writer, that dates way back to Palm Pilot days, probably.
No.
Okay, well, I have had it on my iPad and everything. And today I went to look at something on it, and I had actually typed little documents on it. That was before Word became available and all that sort of stuff. And it said I wanted to update the app, and it said is no longer available, and it just disappeared totally from my iPad screen. And now I'm not sure how I'm going to get to the documents that I had created it. I'll later I'll tell you what I've done, but it scared me to death, and they must be probably on a backup somewhere, I hope. Anyway, I just wondered.
Text edit or preview or something will probably allow you to read your documents.
Yeah, yeah.
You can still see the documents, Judy?
Well, I haven't checked it yet. It's been a busy day, but
You're not going to be able to.
I noticed that, and I've been wondering about where to. Yeah. I just wondered if any of the rest of you had ever been using Cool Writer, so don't worry about it. My problem.
Stop the recording.
Okay, well, I think if that's it for tonight, we'll see y'all next month. Nathan,